Hello everyone, Wylock here, welcome back. Modrons are among the most bizarre creatures in D&D. The artwork is particularly interesting from the monster manual. Here you can see a comparison of the miniatures we're about to make compared to the artwork that inspired them. I finished these in the nick of time for my actual campaign at the table. I'm running out of the Abyss and they're going to run into the Lost Modrons. Anyway, I'll show you how I had a little bit of fun doing some scratch bashing. Materials used will include a couple of gaming dice, vinyl-coated paper clips, the vinyl-coated type, very important, superglue accelerant, thin cardstock, scavenged costume jewelry like you'd find at any garage sale, and then beads and bead-like knickknacks found from a half-hour perusing the craft store up and down. So let's go to the crafting bench and learn a little bit about Modrons. And remember that our sponsor is Heroes Horde for you 3D printers out there. Excellent selection, including all True Tiles lines. Modrons are beings of absolute law that adhere to a hive-like hierarchy. They inhabit the plane of Mechanus and tend its eternally revolving gears, their existence a clockwork routine of perfect order. Under the direction of their leader, Primus, Modrons increase order in the multiverse in accordance with laws beyond the comprehension of mortal minds. Their own minds are networked in a hierarchical pyramid in which each Modron receives commands from superiors and delegates orders to underlings. A Modron carries out commands with total obedience, utmost efficiency, and an absence of morality or ego. Modrons have no sense of self beyond what is necessary to fulfill their duties. They exist as a unified collective divided by ranks, yet they always refer to themselves collectively. To a Modron, there is no I, only we or us. Modrons communicate only with their own rank and the ranks immediately above and below them. Modrons more than one rank away are either too advanced or too simple to understand. A Modron's appearance is varied and depends on their position in society. The most common appearance is as a geometric shape, like a sphere or a cube. The amount of sides, as well as the structure, determines their position in society, and the more sides it has, or the more complex the structure is, the higher they are ranked. The highest ranked Modrons are actually humanoid in appearance. All Modrons are immune to mind affecting, emotion affecting, and magic that draw upon positive or negative energy. They're resistant to cold, fire, and acid. The Hierarch caste Modrons have the innate ability to duplicate the effects of clairaudience, clairvoyance, command, dimension door, teleport without error, and wall of force spells at will. Despite appearing as mechanical constructs, Modrons are not entirely mechanical. Every Modron has a mix of biological and mechanical parts, the degree of which is determined by their place in society. Lower-ranked Modrons have more mechanical components integrated within them than the higher-ranking ones. Most Modrons have no sense of smell, and no Modron has a sense of taste. They use auditory and tactile sensors. Since they communicate telepathically while in Mechanus, their sense of hearing is primarily used to detect sounds and to facilitate communication with non-telepathic visitors to Mechanus. They do feel pain in physical contact via their tactile sensors, and are able to inhibit this as required. All Modrons have eyes, with Hierarchs having 2 or more eyes, allowing them to have a full field of vision. Unlike most other creatures, Modrons have no need to breathe or consume food or liquid to survive. They require a regular intake of a unique form of psychomorphic energy. It has the consistency of a thick jelly and emits a faint inner light. It's harvested by monodrones and stored in a large pool in Regulus. Modrons have to intake this substance every few weeks or else begin to degrade. There are 14 castes of Modron, divided into 2 major categories, the base and the hierarchs. In the base, there are 5 types: the monodrone, the duodrone, the tridrone, the quadrone, and the pentadrone. Those are the ones we're building here today. Estimated populations: 300 million monodrones, 55 million duodrones, 6 million tridrones, 1.5 million quadrones, and 500,000 pentadrones strewn across the multiverse. We won't be diving into the Hierarch castes today, but they are the Decatons, Nonatons, octans, septans, hextans, quintans, quartans, tertians, and secundus. Beyond that, there is only primus. If a Modron is destroyed, its remains disintegrate. A replacement from the next lowest rank then transforms in a flash of light, gaining the physical form of its new rank. The promoted Modron is replaced by one of its underlings in the same manner, all the way to the lowest levels of the hierarchy. There, a new Modron is created by Primus with a steady stream of monodrones, leaving the great Modron Cathedral on Mechanus as a result. A monodrone can perform one simple task at a time and can relay a single message of up to 48 words. The blocky duodrones supervise units of monodrones and can perform up to 2 tasks at a time. Tridrones are shaped like inverted pyramids. They lead lesser Modrons in battle. Quadrones, astute combatants, serve as artillery and field officers in the regiments of Modron armies. Pentadrones oversee Mechanus' worker populace and can improvise in response to new situations. A Modron unit sometimes becomes defective, either through natural decay or exposure to chaotic forces. Rogue Modrons don't act in accordance with Primus's wishes and directives, breaking laws, disobeying orders, and even engaging in violence. Other Modrons hunt down such rogues. That's an interesting idea for an NPC. You could build a whole 4-hour session around that. When the gears of Mechanus complete 17 cycles once every 289 years, Primus sends a vast army of Modrons across the outer planes, ostensibly on a reconnaissance mission. The march is long and dangerous, and only a small number of Modrons return to Mechanus. A grand cycle is the time it takes for the largest gear in the plane of Mechanus to turn once, and it's subdivided into 17 cycles, each of which takes 17 years. Thus, the march occurs every 289 years. Thousands of Modrons participate in the Great March. The vast majority are monodrones, but the voyage also includes Modrons of higher rank, including hierarchs. A quinton usually leads the effort and keeps all records of the voyage. As a consequence of the promotion system we touched on earlier, a quinton is always present until the very end, as long as at least one Modron survived the voyage. A hexton is in charge of defense, while a septon is tasked with ensuring that the march progresses smoothly. 4 octans command each 1/4 of the full contingent, assisted by nonatons. Decatons serve as liaisons between the base and hierarch Modrons. At least 50 pentadrones patrol the lower ranks. Quadrones serve as elite warriors, while tridrones and duodrones are tasked with herding and carrying out commands to the vast masses of the marching monodrones. Since the march is not very efficient at defending itself, and due to the hostile nature of many of the places visited, only very few Modrons manage to actually complete the voyage. The itinerary of the march includes all 16 outer planes of the Great Wheel. The true purpose of the Great Modron March is unclear. Some speculate it consists of a periodic reconnaissance mission to ascertain the state of the outer planes and report them back to Primus. However, no one's ever investigated the location, nor do they usually interact with anyone. They simply march, looking at every new location they visit and moving on. Others argue that the march is necessary to calibrate the gears of Mechanus, while others maintain that the purpose of the march is to instill a sense of order in all the planes, even if just temporarily. Here's a quick little tidbit from the player's handbook. On a wild magic surge, one of the many possible outcomes is that a Modron materializes nearby and then disappears again after 1 minute. Since we've brought it up so much, let's talk a little bit about Mechanus itself. The home of the Modrons, this plane is filled with an infinite number of country-sized circular interlocking gears, which are inhabitable on one or both sides. These great flat wheels are at least 1,000 miles in diameter and have teeth that mesh at right angles, all turning very slowly in synchronicity. Each disc has its own gravity that operates in a sphere, circumscribing it exactly and pulling normal to the top and bottom surfaces. The void between the gears is filled with air, allowing for easy flight. Outside of a gravity sphere, objects feel only very weak attraction to nearby discs. A plane of law and order, it has equal amounts of light and dark, heat and cold, and equal measures of the 4 elements. There's a place for everything and everything in its place. Even individuals living here exist to fit in the greater scheme of things and thus achieve a perfect society. There is no pain, but only the pleasure in successfully filling a role like a gear in the machine. Passion, fantasy, illusion do not exist here, except for what might be brought in by visitors, and any who tried to foment individualism or stir passions for a cause soon find that they're not well received. This is, after all, the outer plane of lawful neutral alignment. It's connected to the prime material planes via the astral plane, and to the outer planes of Arcadia, Acheron, and concordant opposition by portals which appear once every revolution of the gears that they belong to. In general, most creatures would relish the opportunity to be banished from Mechanus. So what the Hierarch Modrons might think is a punishment is actually kind of a reward. But that's not going to be true for everybody. For example, here's an idea for an interesting warlock. All warlocks must have a patron from which they derive their power. What if their patron was Primus on Mechanus? What would a lawful neutral warlock, obsessed with order for order's sake, be like? Would it limit their spell selection? What new feats might there be? Or new invocations, for that matter? To me, there just seems to be a lot of space to play in the upper Modron hierarchy. After all, the further up they go, the more agency they have and the more powerful they are. What if, say, a Secundus became a rogue Modron? What if they did it secretly and managed to become Primus in some grand 289-year-long scheme? So here they are, the first 5 casts all done and aligned. Put a couple other 28mm miniatures there just to demonstrate scale. And in a moment we'll zoom in and get a look at each one individually. In the D&D 5th edition campaign Out of the Abyss, there is a small encounter with Modrons. 12 monodrones and a tridrone have been wandering the Underdark since the last great Modron march. They became separated from their fellows and trapped. Unable to find their way back to Mechanus, they've been pressing on and on and on, knowing that they must find their way back or be destroyed in the process. This extended march has taxed them to their limit. Most show signs of frustration of being unable to fulfill their mission. The Tridrone has managed to keep the group together, but it feels responsible for their collective fate and their failure to return home. Even if the characters have the ability to communicate with the Modrons, the Monodrone's ability to communicate is all but spent. The Tridrone can be very communicative, provided the characters have a way to speak with it and can allay its suspicions. Once convinced of the characters' friendly intentions, the Tridrone tells them that it and its fellows are on a mission of supreme importance, though it doesn't reveal the nature of that mission. But you can puzzle out the reasons that they might be here. They're going to find the Great Orderer, or the Maze Engine. I just think that's a funny idea, this group of Modrons that got separated who knows how many decades ago, and they've been marching ever since. Later on, there's also a duodrone that's being held captive by a beholder named Karizikar. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, it's a damaged duodrone, and the party can rescue it, and it will tell them, "We were part of a great march. We were separated. Then we were lost. Then we were captured. Then we started freaking out. Then you found us." Unquote. Which of these 5 was your favorite, and why? Feel free to leave a comment. And if you haven't already, join us on Facebook, the Tabletop Crafters Guild, over 35,000 members strong and growing. Till next time, I'm Wylock. Make things and play games.